Taking a look at the pick 4 picks, a lot of people like Derek Hoffman, I'm guessing. Yes, Missy. Mark Mason, Fred Hopkins, your front row. Jeremy Wallen, Scott Stovall, Derek Hoffman, Danny Trent, Tim Howard, Eddie Spangler, and Andrew Royer. Set to go for 30 laps, and here we go. NAPA 8 models for 30 laps. On the break, Mark Mason gets the advantage. Hopkins is going to drop into second. Side by side, still for third, works the 1X. Jeremy Wallen battling with Scott Stovall. Down the back straightaway, the field works. Wallen and Stovall still wheel to wheel. Trent and Howard battling back for fifth. Coming to complete lap 1. Your leader going to be Mark Mason. Hopkins second. Stovall and Wallen door to door. Seeing a little bit of right front fender damage on the 1X of Jeremy Wallen. Wallen with a quick nose down the back straightaway. Now Stovall powering back in the outside lane. Stovall and Wallen. Here comes Hopkins in that 99 machine. Taking a look to the outside of Mark Mason. Mason's going to hold the spot. Mason, still your race leader after 2 laps. Mason looking to hold off Fred Hopkins. Hopkins looking to bide his time. 1X car, Jeremy Wallen has cleared Scott Stovall. Derek Hoffman, the dominator this season, sits in 5th. Top 5, single file, all under a blanket. Andrew Royer in that 24 is looking to make his way through the field. Royer is now up into the number 7 position as he's cleared Tim Howard. Royer did not run his heat race. Instead, he takes the tail on the feature, and he's already passed Spangler and Howard trying to catch the rest of the field. Here comes Wallen down to the inside of the 99 of Hopkins. Fred Hopkins sits in that number 2 position, about 4 car lengths back behind Mark Mason. Jeremy Wallen in the 1X holding off Scott Stovall. Derek Hoffman, the 2 car, you know he wants to get to the front in a hurry. Now he'll take it to the top shelf, to the outside of Scott Stovall for the number 4 position. Derek Hoffman, the Mancino City Chevrolet, hi-ho again, car number 2, trying to do something with Scott Stovall. Stovall a little bit loose off the second corner, but he holds the 4th spot. Scott Stovall, the 53 machine, still sitting in 4th, but he's going to have a challenge here real quick from the 2 car, Derek Hoffman. Wallen, the 1X, biding his time, taking a look now to the inside of Fred Hopkins in the 99 machine. Wallen again looking to the inside. Hopkins going to hold the spot. Down the front stretch, Mark Mason continues to lead. Mason in the 5 continuing to lead. Hopkins and Wallen about a 6 car length advantage. Works the 5 car Mark Mason. Hopkins, Wallen, Stovall, and Hoffman, the rest of the top 5. 8 laps in, 22 to go. Wallen all over the back bumper of Fred Hopkins. Now to the inside of Hopkins goes Wallen. He's got a fender on him, headed down the backstretch. Jeremy Wallen down to the inside. Wallen and Hopkins wheel to wheel as they work through corners 3 and 4. Oh, Derek Hoffman loops it around down in corner number 3 and 4. Caution flag going to come out. 2 car, Derek Hoffman going to loop it around. 9 laps are in the books with this one. Caution flag out, 21 to go. Field slowly through corners 3 and 4. Mark Mason ahead of Jeremy Wallen, Fred Hopkins, Scott Stovall, and Danny Trent. Green flag in the air. Jeremy Wallen has the sights of the 5 car ahead of him. Wallen takes a peek to the inside of Mason. Mason holds the spot. Royer battling with Howard. Royer trying to get the advantage. That's back for 6th. Andrew Royer, that 24 machine, battling good right now with Tim Howard. Haven't seen Howard yet this season. Derek Hoffman, that 2 car, is trying to find a way around both of them and get his way up to the front of the field. Howard's all kinds of squirrely through the 3rd and 4th corner. Now, Royer off the pace in that 24 machine. Royer off the pace. He's going to go to the tail of the field. That's going to let Howard get back up to speed. Andrew Royer going to take his car to the pit area. Tough break for that driver out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Your leader still Mark Mason ahead of Jeremy Wallen. Scott Stovall all over the back bumper of the 99 machine of Fred Hopkins. 12 laps complete, 18 laps to go. Stovall side by side with Hopkins, working down the backstretch to corners 3 and 4. Hopkins drifts it a little bit high. Stovall with the advantage, skating off the corner. Stovall into third. Jeremy Wallens hounding all over the back bumper of Mark Mason. Mason has led from the get-go. Does Mason have enough to hold off the 1X car? Jeremy Wallen, we'll find out here over the next half of the race. Wallen is stalking the 5 car Mason. Stovall has cleared Hopkins for third. Danny Trent with a solid top 5 run, sitting right there in that spot. Derek Hoffman back up to 6th as he's gotten around the 51 of Howard and the 11 car of Spangler. The battles for 1st and 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, about 7 car lengths apart. Here comes Wallen down to the inside of Mark Mason. Wallen driving the Blaine Miller Road Service car, gets the spot. Mason trying to make it back down to the inside. Your new leader, going to be the 1X, Jeremy Wallen. Wallen gets the lead away from Mark Mason. 16 laps complete, 14 to go. Mason going to have to go back into the number 2 spot here for a little bit, see if he can do something here in the waning laps. Stovall 3rd, Hopkins 4th, Trent still 5th. Third, 4th, and 5th all running in lockstep. Now Danny Trent takes a peek to the inside of Fred Hopkins. That's still for 4th. Trent with a bit of a fender on him. Hopkins trying to slam the door. Trent down in the grass briefly, but they'll hold in lockstep. Oh, trouble down in corner 1 and 2. 53 car, Scott Stovall loops it around. And also problems down in corner number 4. The 11 car of Eddie Spangler goes around. Yellow flag going to come out. Who wants to see the 1X? Bag this one tonight, folks. Who thinks Mark Mason in the 5 has enough to get back around him? Who thinks Scott Stovall sitting in 3rd's the catbird seat? We'll wait and find out. 12 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Good jump for the 1X of Jeremy Wallen. Jeremy Wallen with a good restart. Gets about a 3 car length advantage over Mark Mason. Mason's going to have some work to do. Stovall still 3rd. Battle back for 4th. Danny Trent, the 14, closing in on Fred Hopkins. They touch a little bit through corners 3 and 4. Got more than just a couple of cars out there with some wrinkled hoods. It's been a rough 30 laps, but relatively clean. Hopkins and Trent 4th and 5th. Derek Hoffman wanting to get around both of them, but he's stuck in traffic. 10 laps to go for Jeremy Wallen. Wallen continues to grow his race lead. 6 car lengths about over Mark Mason. Stovall in the 53 is catching Mason, though. Mason, Stovall, Hopkins, Trent running 2nd through 5th. Hoffman takes a peek now to the outside of Danny Trent, trying to make the top shelf work. Wallen continuing to grow the race lead. It appears every lap the 1X of Jeremy Wallen just continues to get further and further away from Mark Mason. Now the lead's up to about half a straightaway. Wallen, Mason, Stovall, Hopkins, Trent. Here comes Hoffman down to the inside of Danny Trent, that's for the 4th position. Hoffman going to clear Trent down through corners 1 and 2. Hoffman drifts up a little bit high. That's going to let Trent come back down to the inside. Hoffman slams the door. Hoffman's going to hold 5th. Field predominantly single file around the Baerfield Speedway half mile, but Danny Trent and Derek Hoffman still putting on a whale battle back for 5th. This time by just a handful left. 5 laps to go for leader Jeremy Wallen. Mason 2nd, Stovall, Hopkins, and Hoffman still rounding out the top 5. Seeing a lot of guys getting brave, trying to make their car turn all the way down into the infield grass. 4 laps to go. It's been a pretty quiet year so far this year for Jeremy Wallen in the modified ranks as well as in the late model, looking to get his first feature win here at 2012. The lead is up to almost 3/4 of a straightaway for the 1X of Jeremy Wallen. Wallen, the leader. Mason, second. Third is Stovall. Fourth is Hopkins. Fifth is Hoffman. 2 laps to go. This time by. The popsicle sticks go in the air for Jeremy Wallen. This time by, white flag goes in the air for the 1X car of Jeremy Wallen. Can he do it, folks? Final half mile. Mark Mason still sits in second. This will be a pretty big celebration, folks. It's been a quiet year in the modified as well as in the late model. He hopped in Blaine Miller's car last week, and this week he's going to celebrate with a victory. Checkered flag in the air. The Blaine Miller Road Service Double B Garage Chevrolet. Jeremy Wallen back to victory lane. Second to Mark Mason. Third, Scott Stovall. Fred Hopkins. Fourth, Derek Hoffman will round out the top 5. A solid win tonight for the 1X car at Jeremy Wallen. Race fans, did you like it with the NAPA late models tonight?